If you're running a business that sells complex services, one of the ways that you can start getting new clients is understanding direct response principles. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. So whether you're trying to persuade inside of an organization or as a selling professional outside the organization, understanding what's called chains of communications can help, or loops of communications, can help you be more persuasive. It can help you reach people in a more effective way. A chain of communication is basically the interaction or dialogue that you're creating to change someone's mind from one position to another. So if you understand where the person is and you understand where the person wants to be, you can actually do a challenge and response communication. So you can say, hey, how are you doing today? And they say, oh, I'm doing fine. Hey, what challenges do you have? They say, oh, I'm having this challenge. See how you can go back and forth soliciting information and also providing information. In the most basic conversation, it's your customer service person saying, how can I help you today? That's starting a conversation. Now there's a decision tree that can layer on top of that. So you can go from, how are you doing? They tell you how they're doing to there's 3 or 4 different options. Now, this is very important to understand because in selling, you can go and find people in a marketplace by a hook. You can say, hey, are you like I opened the program with, are you selling a complex solution? Are you trying to persuade somebody around a complex topic? If the answer is yes, then the person is in the right place. So you confirm they're in the right place. Hey, you're in the right place. I'm going to show you today how to understand 2 key concepts. Number 1 is the dialogue or information loops, which keeps somebody engaged with you. Number 2 is the decision tree that helps somebody make a decision about what it is that you have to offer. Now, it's easiest to present in the sales environment because you're going out and prospecting, you're trying to find people with problems, you have a solution for those problems. Now it's just a matter of determining whether they have the money to spend, whether they're the qualified to make a decision, whether or not they are in a position to buy. In a sales model, it's so much easier to understand. But I can also take that same concept and show you in a dating model. So if you're you're looking for a relationship, you don't just go out and ask everybody to sleep with you. You have to build up to that. And, you ask enough people, somebody's going to say yes, but ultimately you want to see if you have mutual interests because you're looking for a long-term relationship. Are they also looking for a long-term relationship? You have to see if they're, physically appealing to each other. Do you have similar backgrounds? See, that is the dialogue that is tied to a decision tree that helps move the decision along. Again, it's a model. But what you can do in this model, which is very interesting today with today's media, is you can actually develop long-term content that helps the end user understand the big picture. But not everybody wants to know the big picture. They don't want to sit through 90 minutes of you lecturing them about what's going on. But you can chop that up into little pieces to get that first engagement. So let's say you're a lawyer and you do estates and foundations. If you do a 90-minute presentation, back in the day, they used to have these rubber chicken circuit things where a bunch of families would come in and you do the presentation, you feed them all dinner so you can keep their attention, and then you show them about the core concepts, and there's like a whole platform presentation you can do. Well, in today's world, you may not be able to get people in the same room. Also, you may have clients all over the country, all over the world, and you have to kind of reach them where they're at. So you can do your same 90-minute presentation. You can do the same presentation in a community. You can set up you can social engineer a little bit by having an audience, which demonstrates actual real people are interested in what you have to say. You can do emotional stories and descriptive presentation, but nobody's going to sit through all that necessarily. They will if they're interested. They will if they're qualified. They will if you've had enough interactions and engagements to help them make a decision that information is best for them. So you take your 90-minute presentation and you have somebody chop it up. And so the presentation is structured in 3 to 5 minute blocks. Maybe one block is what is a foundation? What is an estate? Okay, you only covered it for 3 to 5 minutes. Somebody cuts that out and now that's a video for your YouTube channel. It goes in your social media. It goes on your website. Now maybe later you talk about what types of people would benefit from a foundation or an estate. And then you lay that out in an article. you spoke the presentation, you chop that section out, have it transcribed, have somebody rewrite it into an article, and now it's the 3 types of families that deserve a foundation or an estate. And it talks about, wealth transfer. It talks about liability protection. It talks about supporting of charities. It talks about the tax benefits. Your original 90-minute presentation may not have included all these details, but again, your time is very valuable. You want to persuade the maximum number of people, so you take that big presentation that closes sales, chop it up, and then put it out on a different medium in order to draw people into a lead list or a newsletter. And the newsletter is simply the series of segments. So if you're having 3 to 5 minute segments and you did a 90-minute presentation, you're going to have like at least 12 really solid segments, and then you have a call to action that goes to the 90-minute program, which they get to by opting into your newsletter. I know that I'm kind of nutshelling this, and it's a complex topic, but do you see how we're saving time? You're already doing these presentations to sell high-ticket services. If you're an expert in your field and you want to grow credibility, I just put a book out called Establish Instant Credibility. I'm going to give you a kind of a tip out of the book. You can, again, do a 90-minute presentation, do a 45-minute presentation, do a question and answer session, chop it up, drive everybody back to a landing page, get the opt-in, then you offer them a book or report where you go into all the details. Now, the opt-in in this case can be what's called an ask campaign. It could be an actual survey. So I'm writing a book called Essentials of Risk Management to establish myself as an expert in that marketplace, because that's what I've done for years. I'm basically recording podcasts based on an outline, and then all those podcasts can be transcribed to be the book. But I'm also doing some long form, 90 minutes, an hour long, just hardcore. So I'm following the AIDA formula: attention, interest, desire, action. So it qualifies, but it also builds a list. Again, the long form materials, you record it once, you have your assistant chop it up, you have a software to transcribe it, you have somebody edit it, and now my 90-minute presentation becomes 5 to 8 different articles, 12 different shorts, like 1 minute little clips. All that drives to the landing page, and then the landing page is how you get somebody to opt in. Now, again, you could have them call you on the telephone. You could have them fax in information. It just depends on your industry, but you've really got to get people to raise their hand. So that's the last point about persuasion. Beyond knowing who your audience is, and then building out the dialogue or conversation with them, and then the decision tree for having them move towards the decision that you want. The last part is that you've got to get them to raise their hand. So part of those questions are you interested in an estate or foundation? Hey, do you see yourself as being the type of people who would benefit from this? Yes. Do you see yourself getting one of these put together in the next couple of years? Yes. Great. Would you like to get started? Yes. So there's that whole yes exchange that is part of that dialogue. Now, the dialogue can be more complex. I just gave you the example of a prospect survey where I might want to get more information about the individuals because I want to make sure that I'm covering all the talking points. So I hope this has been helpful. It's a little bit of copywriting. It's a little bit of persuasion in writing, but the way you put it together is just simply get on a recording and talk. You can edit out the bad parts. A lot of times when I interview clients, when we're doing positioning, I interview them about their goals and their desires, but then I start asking them about the people who can hire them or fulfill their goals and desires. And then we build out all this content, and then we use it in media today, because you may not get to interact with half the people you work with. I've worked in environments that have people in like 7 time zones all over the world: India, Philippines, Ireland, Brazil, United States, East Coast, United States, West Coast. I am never going to meet these people in real life. So how do I connect with them? I'm doing it on webinars. I'm doing it on teleseminars. I'm doing it on conference calls. But again, I can't always record it because sometimes it's transactional. But when you can record it, now you have little bite-sized segments you can pull out while maintaining and respecting the privacy of the person on the other side. But more importantly, you can be more time effective by actually doing a presentation in front of a live audience. So that's speaking at your trade associations. That's doing training events. I'm hearing a weird noise outside, so I'm going to wrap this up. But do you see where I'm coming from here? If you have questions about this or anything else we cover, I'm Justin Hitt. Visit me at www.insidestrategicrelations.com, where I help people who sell complex solutions, who have high income positions, really build the relationships necessary for influence. And I've just shared you a specific model that has to do with multiplying the value of your time, because you got to record it once and use it many times. And then ultimately, how do you reach in today's model of mediums and communications methods? If you have questions about this, put the questions below, or contact me at the website where we have newsletters and podcasts and all kinds of resources to help you make this happen. Today, more than ever, it is important for you to know how to persuade and to connect people with resources, because there's no shortage of competition. And if you want to get results, you've got to be influential. You've got to be an authority. You've got to be an expert. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next podcast.